the Inov8 Race Ultra 2-in-1 vest. Two-in-one, as the name suggests, there are two different options with this vest. It actually has a detachable rear pocket, rear compartment, so you can remove this section completely, as you can see there, which will then dramatically reduce the capacity of the vest itself and make it a lot lighter. So it's a really neat feature that they've introduced here, because you've basically got a lightweight running vest for your shorter races and shorter training runs, and then you've got this option to attach this secondary bag onto the back of it, which allows for a significant amount of extra capacity there, along with the bungee cord and some couple of exterior pockets there as well. As part of the vest, you get two 500ml soft flasks with the long drinking straws and bike valves, and also a collapsible cup, which is really good because a lot of the ultra marathons nowadays are not providing any plastic cup. So drink stations, rightly so, and you have to bring your own cup. So having something like that which can just collapse down into virtually nothing is really good. So providing that, real plus point for me. Another feature of this is the fact that you have multiple locations where you can store the bottles down in the side here, or you can actually have a shorter option, more as a chest mounted pocket, and also multiple options for poles, and that's what really attracted it to me. So what I'm going to do is give this a thorough review. I'm going to do a number of long runs in it, carrying a lot of stuff, some shorter runs without the rear pocket as well, to get a feel for that, and then I'll come back and let you know my thoughts. Completed a number of runs now using the vest. I think the one word that I would use to describe it above all else is versatile. There are so many different options with this bag, from storage, increasing or reducing the size of that, the number of pockets available, where you hold your water for example, and also if you're carrying poles, options around that as well. There's just so many different options, and it is an extremely versatile pack. Getting into a little bit more detail then, looking at the options, some of the things that I really like first off are the options around the water storage. As you can see, you can have the bottles down in the bottom section here. You've got a pocket with a zip on it using the drinking straw, but then you also have the option for mounting up on the chest and the straps there as well. So you've got the options for having a bottle on the top, and I've actually ran with 3 soft flasks in it, 2 in the lower sections, 1 per side, and then also another soft flask in one of the chest pockets, which worked really well. No bounce, easy to access all 3 with the long straws, but if you're doing a shorter run, then you could have just 2 up there or 2 down in the bottom, or mix and match as you see fit. The actual storage as well is great in terms of accessibility. So you've got this large pocket, zip up pocket on the front. I've been using it for my mobile phone. You then have, as I say, options for a soft flask if you wanted on the front, but I used that primarily for food. It was very easy access. Another smaller pocket up here as well with a cover, and another kind of bungee in there as well for some storage. On the other side, again, another chest mounted soft flask pocket and a non-zip pocket there as well, which is a decent size. Another small pocket on the top as well, so you can see you've got 6 pockets essentially on just this section alone, depending whether you use soft flasks or not, where you can carry a lot of different items, some zipped up, some non-zipped. Along the side you have this large kind of kangaroo pouch, as it's sometimes known, and then a secondary one with the zip, where I've currently actually got a survival bag in there, but you can obviously put a soft flask. That's where the soft flask with the straws would probably go. And then at the back on one side, you then have a further zip-up pocket. It's not particularly big, that one. If you've used some other packs with that sort of zip-up pocket at the back, this is slightly smaller than some of the other packs. Getting to the back of the bag, you have two little side pockets here, where you could potentially put in solid water bottles, for example, if you wanted. You've then got the bungee cord, where you can put, a wet jacket if you didn't want to put it in the main body of the pack. And then you've got the 10-litre option there as well. So as you can see, when I did my long run, I had that completely full. But having tried it with both, it's a great addition to the pack, but it works equally well as just a single vest without that section. So you've got this 10-litre storage unit. My first concern was when I saw the design that I thought there might be some bounce coming from this, but there wasn't any bounce at all, which I was really pleased to see, even when it was completely full and also half full. Things do move around a little bit if it's half full, but you do have the bungee cord and some other attachments where you can actually tighten things up to reduce the amount of bounce from that. So that's another excellent feature of this pack and what really separates it from some of the others that are out there. Another element I mentioned in terms of versatility is around carrying the poles. You can have them down the side, making use of these straps here. You can have them across the front, or you can also see there's some bungee cord at the back as well. You can have them along the back underneath your jacket, for example. Now this would be quite useful, for example, if it was raining, you have a jacket on, you can still access your poles without having to take your jacket off. If you had the jacket on top of the running vest, you can still get access to your poles. In terms of the rear attachment for the poles, like any, rear attachments, it can be slightly difficult to reach them, get them in and out, but I guess that comes with this practice and getting more used to the pack. I primarily was using the ones which had them down the sides, making use of this feature here and down at the bottom. I've been using the black diamond poles. I did find that when I put them in with the handle at the top, when they were folded, they did kind of move a little bit where it was folded. But when I then turned them around and had the bottom of the poles in up there and the handles at the bottom, it worked really well. There was no bounce. They weren't really moving at all. I did a 1,200 metre long descent and didn't have any issues all the way down that, and I was pushing reasonably hard. So that's the type of situation where I expected them to potentially move and come out. There's also one final pocket here on the inside where you can put a bladder if you wish, and then that comes out, as a lot of these bags do, where you can then access the tube from the bladder. So you do have so many different options, as I said, around versatility from this pack. I've tried it with and without the rear section on. Works very well with both. I had the full mandatory equipment for UTMB in here and it handled it absolutely fine. There was still room for more items as well, so really impressed by that, and there was no major issues carrying it. It wasn't bouncing around or anything like that. There are 2 points I will flag that I've noticed. One is that if you're using these side pockets and you take the pack off, for example if you're in an aid station, put it down, they do kind of fall open a lot more than other Kangaroo pouches that I've used, such as the Salomon Advanced Skin 12 that I've used with the one at the back. So I did actually have a couple of items falling out when I sat it down on a table, which wasn't ideal, so something to be aware of. When I was running, reaching in, taking things out, there was no problem at all because it was stretched tight around my body. The second one I'll mention is when it was full, I actually found that the strap here was digging in slightly to my collarbones. Now what I'm going to try next is put just a slight bit of padding there with the full kit on. I did a 5-hour run, after about 3.5, 4 hours I began to feel that slightly, so that's just something which I noticed as well, which I hadn't experienced with some other backpacks that I'd used. And then the only other element I will mention is that I have got the small medium here, and I have a 38-inch chest, which is about 96, 97 centimetres, something about that. And I had it when it wasn't full, so when I had it with just without the rear section on, it was quite close fitting. So if you're a small athlete, smaller chested, I'm not sure how it will fit. There also isn't a women's specific one as well. So again, just something to be aware of size-wise, that if you were to have it, you'd probably have to have these completely tight. You can see there's not that much room there for me, and I could have gone tighter than that on the run. These aren't stretchy either, these are rigid, whereas some other packs, again like Salomon, that would normally have some elasticity there. That is quite rigid, so there's no real stretch there. Wasn't an issue when running, but just something which I noticed. Overall though, I would say this is an absolutely amazing bit of kit. I really like the fact that it's got the pole carrying options with it. When you have them down the side, you can see the 2 attachments there at the top and at the bottom. It works really, really well. Very easy to access, get them in and out on the move, or very quickly just standing still. You're not having to reach around the back and things like that. You can easily fit in these side pockets all the things that you'd want to access whilst on a run without having to stop. So I had my waterproof jacket in there, hat, gloves, sun hat, and also some food between the 2 pockets, and that was when I also had 2 full water bottles down there as well. So there's plenty of space for everything you want to grab whilst out running. And then in the backpack, the additional mandatory things where I probably have to stop and use them, such as the first aid kit. I had a survival bag in there, I had some sun cream, waterproof trousers, long leggings and spare thermal top. So if you're looking for a backpack with larger capacity than a lot of running vests and with pole carrying capacity, then it's great. It is £150 on the Inov8 website at present. I have seen it for slightly less than that on other websites, so you can get it for cheaper, but it is quite expensive. But you are essentially getting 2 backpacks in one, with that removing that 10-litre pouch at the back, which does make it quite a nice option if you're doing shorter races and longer races, for example, that require different amounts of kit to be carried. So overall, extremely happy with it. This will become my primary backpack now for all my long runs. I'm not sure whether I'll make use of it without the rear pouch that often, actually, because I bought it primarily for my longer runs. It is very versatile, as I said, with all those different options. You could comfortably carry 4, 5, 6 litres in the air if you had a bladder on, plus multiple soft flasks if you're going for a very hot, dry day. Alternatively, you've got options for changing it around, switching it up to suit your personal preferences, which I really like about it. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content, and I'll see you next time.